Hey guys, Chadwick with you again from the Auto Obsessive Garage. I just wanted to kind of set the expectation right up front. This is not like my other auto experience films. We unfortunately will not be driving the car. And I know that's a big part of these reviews, but honestly, this car is very important to me. I have a rich history with it. It's been a 12-year relationship, and I'm letting it go. Finally selling it this weekend. So I kind of realized, hey, you know what? Let's just put some footage together. Let's go over all the modifications I've done to the car, and the list is very long, and kind of just do a review of the car. Obviously, I can't put all the tests in there, but let's do a review so you guys can see what work I put into this car, my modification path, and what it's been like building this car. The Galant VR-4 is an excellent platform, so I just wanted to kind of put this video out. But please stay tuned. We're going to go over all the awesome modifications I've done to this car and talk about the car. Owning it for 12 years, and it being my second Galant VR-4, I've got lots of input. So enjoy the video, guys, and we'll see you again on the next one. Take care. Welcome back to the Auto Obsessive Garage. Chadwick with you again for another installment of the Auto Experience series. Right off the bat, I do want to say this is a very bittersweet episode. Today, we're in my personal 1992 Mitsubishi Galant VR-4, number 141 out of 1000. The reason why this video is bittersweet is twofold. I've decided to sell the car. It's going to be picked up this coming up weekend. And that's pretty sad. I've owned this car for 12 years. I purchased it in 2007. It's been a very long project of mine. We'll go into all the details, all the modifications and everything. But I am happy to see it go to a new home. And part of the reason is I'm starting to kind of transition from modifying cars, which I still love and I still respect, to more of a stock restoration kind of thing where I'm picking up these older cars, fixing them up, getting them back to factory condition, good drivability condition, and letting them go back into the world so that they can be enjoyed. So that's kind of the turn I've taken with my automotive work. That being said, the other sad part that makes this a bittersweet review is we're not going to drive the car, guys. I'm super sorry. I wish I could show you guys some amazing performance tests and if all the modifications I've done really did pay off. So I do apologize right up front. We won't be driving this particular Galant VR-4. This car has not ran in the past 8 years or so. This is my second Galant VR-4 also. I purchased my first one in December of 2004. So I've been into these cars for quite a while. So I think it'll be really insightful. I'll share some things about the car. Like I said, we're going to go in depth with the modifications and some modifications that do and don't work for this platform. Yeah, let's dive in and go over this car. So again, it's a 1992 Mitsubishi Galant VR-4. There were only 1,000 of them. Released in the US for that year. In 1991, which is what my previous Galant VR-4 was, there were 2,000 of them. So pretty cool there. A little rarer that you find the 92s, especially in this condition. Overall condition of this car is fantastic. It's been stored in a garage almost its entire life that I've owned it. It does have, what are we currently at? 222,000 miles. And the thing is, this car was built with such a high level of quality. That's what you really need to know getting into one of these. The DSMs are fantastic. I love that the popularity is coming back around. But the Galant VR-4 was built, I believe, with way higher standards. Just check out the seats. These are the stock seats that came with the vehicle. and we're talking 220 something thousand miles of wear and tear. There isn't even a bolster wear mark or anything on the driver's seat. And these are just fantastic, high quality leather. The rest of the interior, also really high quality. It's awesome. What a great car to start off with, right? And not to mention, under this hood, you have a 4G63 turbocharged engine. This engine is great. It can handle tons of boost, and with this particular case, this is a fully built engine. So I'm going to detail the specs of that in a little bit. We'll go over that in the further examinations of the car. And I kind of want to go over why I built it the way I built it. I mean, sure, stock 4G63s can handle a lot of power, but who doesn't want to build it so it can handle more power, have a higher red line? I built this more to be a track toy. I didn't really consider what it was like to make it street legal, to deal with smog and things of that nature. I also didn't build a high horsepower dyno kind of performing car. I was always looking for 400 wheel horsepower and always looking for road courses. So that's kind of the build ethos I was going for. Again, modifications, let's talk about that. So first up, we already mentioned, fully built engine. It's got 272 cams, intake exhausts, Wiseco 9.0 pistons in there, ARP head studs, Manley H-beams, all the supporting stuff you need to really build a nice 4G63. Transmission fully built, Spider diff gears, everything's reinforced. These transmissions are pretty solid, but once you start putting a lot of power on them, especially if you're gonna do any hard launching or anything, you're really gonna wanna get that thing fortified. So it complements the engine nicely. All the supporting mods are there, and I can generate a mod list. Maybe I'll just have it scroll through the screen here. A lot of modifications have been done to this car. I wanted to keep it fairly stock looking on the outside, but once you pop the hood, it doesn't look stock anymore. So we have all the supporting fuel mods, everything from the larger fuel pump, rewired fuel pump, fuel injector clinic, fuel rail, 1100cc injectors, and this was because I did want to run E85 at one point. The future owner will always be able to switch back to E85 if they want to put an E85 map on it and really get some horsepower out of it. It's got the Force Performance exhaust manifold on there. We also have a Evo 316G turbo ported by Road Race Engineering. It got a tile 38mm external wastegate, which sounds awesome to a dump tube. Exhaust is full 3-inch all the way back.
One of my favorite modifications is the massive ETS front mount intercooler and 2.5-inch diameter intercooler piping.
482 MAF flows the same as an Evo MAF. The stock MAF on the Galant VR-4 really was its restriction point. So opening that up and obviously accommodating that with your tuning software, which I use ECM Link, is the way to get that working great. Really, there isn't anything that hasn't been touched. Suspension hasn't been worked too hard. KYB AGX shocks all around with some white line lowering springs. I got the Cusco, the real deal, not knockoff, strut towers, front and rear. Those were pretty hard to come by. Wheels and tires, I went with some Motegi MR125s. These are really lightweight tires, and they're 17 by 7.5 is exactly the size I wanted for the car. I think anything bigger than 17 looks ridiculous, and 7.5 allows you to run like a 225, which is plenty of meat for a car of this proportion, especially all-wheel drive. Brakes, you know, I played around with the Willwoods in the past. I didn't like the feel, I didn't like the fitment, so I just put some Stock Tech slotted rotors on with new Hawk HPS pads. Did the brake fluid. The brakes on this car are very good. From the factory, they come with 3000 GT brakes, which is a much heavier car. I always thought the braking on the VR4 was great. The only thing I didn't like was the ABS. So the early ABS that came from the factory on this car is kind of garbage in my opinion. If the conditions aren't good, it just pulses so slow, it doesn't seem like the brakes engage enough. So I actually switched everything over to a non-ABS unit. So I got the big heavy ABS module out of the front, which is hanging over the front tire. Bad place to have weight in a car anyway. Got a proportioning valve and all the lines for non-ABS conversion. So brakes should be amazing. On to the objective tests. All right, so enough just talking about the car. You know, let's put it on the scales. Let's see if my weight reduction, which was pretty extensive, has had an impact. There really aren't too many accurate weights out there. I've seen everything from 32 to 3,500 pounds from the factory as the quoted weights. So I kind of want to get this example up on the scales and kind of go through what I've done to reduce weight on this car. So let's shoot that and then see what the final product is and see how much this particular Galant VR-4 weighs. God, I'd love to be able to do the performance test, guys. Trust me, I wish I could.
Okay, let's get the Galant VR-4 situated up here on the scales and see what our curb weight looks like. Even though I did quite a bit of weight reduction, I'm still very surprised and impressed with this number, given this is also a sunroof car, which is inherently a bit heavier. Front and rear balance on the Galant VR-4 is surprisingly great also, with a near 58-42 split between front and rear. The Galant VR-4 is an attractive car. Its exterior styling is kind of reminiscent of the Evo. You can definitely pick up some historical hints there, but it also kind of looks like a mashup between an E30 M3 and a Nissan Sentra SER from the early 90s. The exterior is pretty purpose-built. It has plenty of airflow through the front. It has flared wheel arches, some really cool body side cladding to make it stand out. It doesn't have much in the way of an aggressive body kit, but it does look a little more stylish, a little more aggressive than the base model Galant. It even has a rear spoiler to go in there with its rally heritage.
But back to the interior of the car, Momo Monte Carlo steering wheel. I think it's perfect, simple, matches the style of the car. I've still got an Apexi SAFC. That's awesome. Those are great from the 90s, the early 2000s. All my gauges are Autometer Sport Comp series, so everything matches, which is cool. Obviously the boost and then the wideband. I've got a wideband O2 sensor in there. So that's very necessary when you're doing this kind of tuning. And then oil pressure, water temp, all that kind of standard stuff. Even got an old HKS turbo timer, which is super cool. Other than that, the interior, obviously, you can see I'm sitting on some very bright red Sparco Evo 2 Pluses. Great fitment. The big reason I got racing buckets, other than just being a track toy, is that I cannot fit in this car with a helmet on. It looks great now. It looks like I have plenty of room, but with the stock seats, even at the lowest setting, you will notice this is a sunroof car. With a helmet on, just didn't work. Couldn't get my head in there at all. Well, the reason the car isn't currently running is basically tuning. My weakness in cars, especially heavily modified cars, is actually doing the tuning correctly. I think this is best left in the hands of a professional, especially when I'm dealing with a brand new built engine with 0 miles on it. I don't want to mess it up. You know, I don't, especially during the break-in procedure, I don't want to have a bad tune on it and cause any possible damage. And I never got around, truth be told, I never got around to taking it to a tuning shop. I do everything in-house, and I just got to that point and probably could have easily gotten a tune on it. But again, like I said, the direction with where I'm going with my automotive stuff and just restoring stock cars, it just seemed like a time to, you know, let someone else enjoy this car and get a heck of a deal. And the new owner is going to be very happy with it. I can guarantee him. Again, guys, thanks for checking out the film. You know, having this car for so long, it being a car with a very rich history, it deserved a send-off video. So I wanted to kind of follow my auto experience format. I really wish I could have done all the tests, but then again, it was just nice to put all this together and kind of see the car off to its new home with a nice video describing it. So I'll see you guys on all the future content coming from the Auto Obsessive Garage. We'll get some real reviews where I'm driving cars coming up shortly. I've got some excellent cars on my schedule. I think you guys are really gonna enjoy. So please continue to follow, like, subscribe, do all that wonderful stuff, and I will see you guys shortly. Take care.